Hi everyone, it's Rax. I've been blasting a lot more Path of Exile 2, and particularly I've been playing a lot of Endgame. By the way, I have a new Endgame guide for a build coming for you guys, which is, well, you'll see. You're gonna laugh. It just insta deletes everything. But today I thought I would make a video talking about Path of Exile 2's Endgame so far. And to be very clear, Grinding Gear Games, as I understood it from listening to their interviews, kind of threw this end game together in the last couple of months so we could get a taste of what they have to come. Remember that it's still early access. I would say what they have in early access is honestly very good so far. It's got really good building blocks. They can fix a lot of the problems. And the reason why I'm making this video is to talk about some of the pain points to try to make it better and open up conversations. And I'm honestly guessing that a lot of people have already brought some of this stuff already. Maybe this stuff isn't going to be rocket science, but I thought it was important to get it out there to try to make the game as the best that we can for the launch. So these are the topics that I want to cover today, and some of them are very, very highly contested. So let's start with Rarity. So I could understand a couple of reasons why Grinding Gear Games would put Rarity in the game. And I guess to give you some context before I speak about that, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, in the end game, increased rarity on gear, that stat is unimaginably strong. It's so strong that I think anybody who has gotten a taste of it or messed around with it at all would tell you it's by far the best stat in the game. It's like almost better than movement speed on boots. So everyone really that's trading at all in the game, which softcore trade I think is by far the largest demographic of Path of Exile, everyone's going for rarity on gear. So you can get a godly chess piece, 150 life, triple res, and it's cool. But if it doesn't have rarity, um, if an item doesn't have rarity and it can have rarity, it's pretty bad. So a lot of people are calling for it to be nerfed. A lot of people are calling for it to be removed. So I want to take a step back and ask myself, could I think of a reason why Grinding Gear Games would want rarity in the game, at least on items? And I can, actually. It opens up a lot of different play styles where some people want to magic find and some people want to play more cautiously and just get really strong. So that is a reason that I could think of. And another reason that I think probably maybe really excites them, if I had to guess, is if the formula was correct. Like, it's not correct right now, but let's say it was. Let's say that they nerfed it and they balanced it a little bit more. It gives you a gray line in exactly what is the best gear. Is the best gear just stacking all rarity, or is it these super rare uniques that you only find on the pinnacle bosses? Well, it kind of ties into that playstyle thing. Depending upon what you're trying to do, if you're trying to pump out currency all the time, it might be the pieces with rarity, and if it isn't, then it's just trying to get as strong as possible. So I could see why that they might want to keep it here. In my opinion, I don't think you can keep it. And the reason why is I think some of the downsides are too strong. And Grinding Gear Games, I think, would have to hit it absolutely perfectly in order to make a large majority of the community happy, which I don't think is going to happen. If rarity is too strong, as we talked about, it just invalidates a ton of the gear. Like, I have a really, really powerful monk right now, and I got a couple of pieces that are just beautiful, but they don't have rarity on them. And I'm constantly running through. I get an exalt here every few hours. I might find a divine. I'm just thinking, man, if I just had more rarity, I would get way more divines, and I'm not dying. So I might as well go trade my godly boots for something else. On one hand, it's cool that you're interacting with it, but the downside of it, I feel, is um, way too severe. And another thing, without like perfectly hitting the formula, is it really isn't a choice. It's really, you play with a lot of rarity, or you probably just don't know how strong it really is. It really isn't much of a choice once you gain the knowledge. It's kind of like ignorance is bliss. So I wouldn't mind sources of rarity, maybe if they didn't come on gear. Maybe if it was like a reward for as you progress, like as you progress through the pinnacle boss system. Oh, you reach this thing, we're going to give you 30 rarity as a reward, or something like that. It's totally fine. I don't think rarity needs to necessarily be completely deleted out of the game. But as a stat on gear with the formula that it has, there's no way it could stay. I would say at a minimum, it needs a nerf. I think the better solution is to remove it entirely from gear. All right. Well, the end game, most of the end game is the maps or the waystones. So let's talk about those. So first of all, not all the maps are equal. There's maps like Augury and some of the Val maps that have mechanics in them that are they're terrible in every way. They're terrible in how long they take. They're terrible in that during the animation, you can be hit by them. They're terrible in how they disrupt the flow of POE2 is already one of the slower ARPGs, which I'm fine with. It's fine. If I want to go zoom, we can play Torchlight. Torchlight and POE1, I think, are the zoomiest ARPGs. We want to fly, we can go in there. Want something in the middle, we can play Last Epoch or Diablo 4. And if we want the slower one, we go POE2. But since it's already a slower pace when I'm in Augury, then they're pulling the lever down, I think you have to abandon that stuff entirely. And another thing about the maps, which is going to correlate to the pinnacle bosses, is I had this initial feedback and I didn't want to double down on this until I had played more, but now this is me doubling down on it. I don't think that there's enough cool things or surprises happening in the game. And I've probably cleared, this is a guess, I don't have a counter. I would say I've cleared 200 T15 maps. I have 4 level 90 plus characters. I've even cleared, let's say, 8 T18 maps. The irradiated, the corrupted T16 maps. I've even done several of those. In that time, I have only found 1 citadel. And I'm not pathing randomly. Follow the water, follow the towers, follow the corruption, path in a straight line, da 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 da. I've been following all those strategies. I was talking about today on my stream, there were people that said they're level 94, level 95, never seen a citadel. And I've seen, I think, 1 nameless seer and 2 unique maps. And so, because the game already feels slower, I feel like they really, really need to spice up a lot of this pathing and make it a lot more, I guess the best word I can come up with is fun or diversified, would be something that I would point to maps. For me, by far, the biggest problem with maps is how you complete them. The way that you usually complete a map for most of them is you have to kill all the elites and a boss if there is a boss. I love the elites and I love the bosses. That's not my problem. My problem is after you get below the threshold, I think it's 200 monsters, there's an elite 500 miles behind you that you have to go kill if you missed it. And it happens all the time and it feels so bad. A lot of people have suggested a lot of ways to fix it. Honestly, I'm okay with any of them. I'm okay with them even implementing solutions that we haven't heard. Some people say, just go back to the boss thing. I'd be fine with that. The bosses are nice in PoE2 because they drop such good loot. Even if you don't like killing bosses, at least they drop really good loot. Maybe even they could keep the kill every elite thing. I'm not even saying that you have to change maybe the objective, but the way that we complete the objective, where the elites spawn on the map, when they show up, and the backtracking. I think this is a must change in whatever way that Grinding Gears sees fit. One more comment about the maps and the citadels. I've only found 1 citadel ever. I don't know if they're placeholders or not, but I was very underwhelmed by the citadel. And I don't mean to spoil it for anybody in chat. I mean, you can mute the video for the next 30 seconds if you want. But the Citadel was just, it was just kind of like a regular map with an act boss. It was just, I thought it was going to be something epic. I've been searching for 2 weeks for this big Citadel, and this is 1/3 of the way to opening that thing right by where I start, and it was just a map with a boss. I think those could be way cooler and would add a lot for a lot of the more casual players who, a lot of the casuals right now, you're never going to reach a Citadel unless you spawn right by it. You get really lucky. Most of them won't even make it out of the campaign. But when they finally do get to do a Citadel, it would be cool if that was a very memorable moment. It was not memorable at all, super forgettable. Now that I've played more, I think towers don't work at all. I think everything about towers has got to change. Um, it's like everything, and people are calling for towers to be removed. I don't know if you need to remove them. The idea, the concept of it is cool, where you have a special map, it gives you a lot of vision, which synergizes with finding more of the surprises that I hope they put into the game. And it helps you find the citadels. That's cool. I'm cool with the basic idea of it, but everything about a tower does not work. So the layout of it, the tiny little hallways into the rooms that you can't really see very well, that kind of a map that we're forced to play all the time. Another thing is these towers are essentially mandatory. These kind of map layouts are so bad for so many builds. I'm not saying you have to make everyone a giant open field, but they can't all be the same. And these tiny little compartmentalized hallways into these almost hidden rooms with the roofs over them where you can't even see, and you're just kind of walking in and hoping that it's not a death trap. That doesn't work at all. The second floor of the tower doesn't work for me in any way. The same thing as Augury. You walk through the step, you walk around the thing, you walk over a bridge, you pull the thing, and it's over. That is cool like one time. This is a mandatory thing that you have to do a million times in the end game. It really can't be like that. The second floor has to have something like a reward, a chest. I wish the hallway was shorter. I wish the second floor was gone entirely, or you just you activate the thing on the first floor. A million different ways to fix it. But we have to do something. I never see mechanics or surprises in the towers. It's always the same thing. And so, do you want to know what I do with the towers? Like, this is just what I do. I'm guessing other people, the more they do them, they probably gravitate towards something like this. I just throw in like a white T1 map. I'm decimating T15s easily. But when I see a tower, I just plug a white map and I run in a straight line, just run to the second floor and turn it on, because there's no point to kill anything. You don't get any XP. There's no mechanics. There's nothing to find. There's no chest. There's nothing. It feels 100% like a chore, and like there's nothing fun about it. I would actually think I would prefer if you would keep the towers. I like the functionality of them, but I want to be excited when I finally got to a tower. Hell yeah. Instead of, well, I'm at the tower and I need to do it, but man, the next 60 seconds of my life are going to be miserable. And it has to be valuable to plug your T15 keys in these towers, I feel. The strategy shouldn't be throw in a shitty, unjuiced level 1 map. I talking about some of the mechanics here. So I already talked about the citadels a little bit with the maps. I was pretty underwhelmed by the citadels in terms of I've only found one of them, and it was just a map and a boss. Very disappointing to me. I find Expedition, Reach, and Delirium as someone who's kind of like, I don't know where I wouldn't know where I would land in the end game thing of clearing 200 T15s and 8 T18s or whatever. I haven't even gotten a chance to get the 3 citadels yet, but maybe at the beginning or the middle of the end game. But I find strong boxes and ritual to be like extremely worthless. I don't even engage with the strong boxes anymore. The rewards are from what I've seen, the worst in the game. Maybe it's good if you like really juice it or have a strategy, but just running in and interacting with the strongbox, huge waste of time for me. And I hate the way that it approaches the mechanic compared to PoE1. I think PoE1 was better in that it was faster. I'm waiting around all the time. When you have a strong box in a map that has like compartmentalized rooms, they spawn the monsters over the wall in the other room. You got to walk around. You're wondering where the monsters even are. This is not a fun mechanic at all. Strong boxes for me are a big thumbs down with the current tuning of them and how they function. I've never gotten anything valuable from Ritual. People say, oh, you can get a key to fight King of the Mist. I believe you. Never seen one. Never gotten a divine or anything like that. Nothing. I've done it a lot. Every time I've submitted my maps, done every single one. I've never gotten an item that has been really good. Never got a bow with an arrow or good fizz damage. Never got a staff. Never got a wand. I never got anything. So I feel like these two mechanics in general are far behind Breach and Expedition and Delirium. I feel like I'm getting something when I do those, at least. And then finally, the Ascendancies. I brought this up in like my general feedback video, but since we're talking about the endgame, I've completed the 4th Ascendancy multiple times now. And I think a lot of things are just still a little bit miscalculated. So the major and minor boons in the trial of the Sekimas, I call it trial of suck my ass, but in the trial of Sekimas, I got a major boon. I believe it was every room completed, you get 40 honor. That is beyond worthless to me when I have 12,000 honor going through the thing. Another thing, I believe a minor affliction is you have no energy shield, or you have no evasion, or you have no armor. This is some of the most devastating things you could possibly have. This actually happened to me. I plugged my 4th Ascendancy, and I feel like I'm not the world's greatest player of making decisions, but I'm not the worst either. Like I can, now that I've done it a few times, now I can actually see and make some good decisions. So I was in the very first level of the trial, and I had a couple of rooms, a couple of decisions going forward, and I went forward, and every single one of them eventually forced me into going into a room where the penalty was no energy shield, and I was playing Chaos Inoculation, which means you have 1 life and all energy shield, essentially. So I actually had to start the run over on the very first floor. And I didn't even pigeonhole myself into going down the bottom lane. I was kind of going in the middle, and it just converged into one room with no energy shield. It's things like that. Grinding Gear Games said that they made changes to melee and ranged and the honor. One of those big like golem guys hit my monk with 1 hit for about 5,000 honor. This is a trash mob. I had some boons that made it worse on me. I'm sure I was in the 4th level, so I have some terrible boons that make it worse. But he hit me for 5,000 honor in 1 hit. It actually made me lose the run. So I appreciate the work that they've done so far. The work that they did make it better. But I guess my general question for Ascendancies, by the way, that hit, that 5,000 hit, I had max honor resist. I have really, really good, what are they called? Relics? I have really good relics. Super high honor, super high resist. I think capped resist, right? Is it capped at 75 or whatever? I was pretty juiced up there. The thing for me about the Ascendancies, and this is really only a question, it would be like a really good interview question if they ever want to chat. I'd love to talk to you guys. How hard should these be? And is like the 4th Ascendancy, is that a real end game thing? In general, what we don't want is we don't want grinding gear games to just give us everything for free. We don't want the game to be super easy. It's fun to have a challenge and overcome it. You got no argument from me. I love that. I'm looking forward to it. I beat the 4th trial on every character that I've tried. Yeah, I have some fails, but at least I can get it done. I'm not worried about it. But I don't think hardly any casual players will ever get their 4th Ascendancy with the current state of the game. My question is that intended? And I guess it's only up to them. Like, where do they think that it should fall in? If they want a certain percentage of the population to be able to complete their 4th Ascendancy, you're going to have to ease up on the gas in some ways. I have only tried the ultimate. I actually haven't tried the T4 ultimatum, the hardest one. I've done the T3 one, but people say that one's even harder. So I need to try that one as well. I should have probably tried it before making this video. I could have given some feedback, but oh well. Yeah, so that's about all I want to say on the end game. These are kind of the major things that I'm seeing after playing it for, well, I guess it's the 28th. When did it come out? Like the 5th or the 6th or something? I guess it's been 3 weeks. I'm really enjoying it. I think they've done a very good job. But I would love to see, if not patch notes, I would love to see a post from them about these topics very soon. Or, one more time, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Grinding gear games. If you want to talk to me about it, I'd love to have a conversation with you and just get your thoughts on the state of these things. Are you guys playing the game too? Are you guys experiencing these same things? And see where we can go from here. Anyway, guys, just trying to start a conversation. I don't know everything. I'm just sharing my opinions. I'd love to know what you think. Have you got to the end game? And have you been experiencing the same things that I've been experiencing? And do you have any proposed solutions for any of these things? What would you do about it? Thank you very much. And I have a lot more guides coming from you guys. I'm getting better at this game. I'm learning a lot more, and got more build guides and more actual mechanics guides, trade, end game guides, stuff like that coming for you very soon. Thank you.